Hi, everybody. This is Chris,
And this is Matt.
and this is not a review.
Nope.
I see I'm throwing everybody off. I'm getting right to business. I'm not going
I
off the
know.
rails like we always do, because
I
we
know we're
always go off the
focused
rails.
tonight. I can sense it.
Can sense it
We're going to be on task for
on
the
task.
duration.
And I just noticed like I haven't said the title of the game, and I'm wondering how funny it would be if I was just talking about how on task we are, and we never say the name of the
And
game.
then we never even get to discussing the game. Yeah. Nope.
Nope.
It's Dungeon Hack.
It's Dungeon Hack. We're going to talk about Dungeon Hack. If you're joining us for the first time, we don't review the games. We each take about a month to play the game, come back with our point of view, discussion, book club style format, two assholes with opinion, and sometimes we talk about food and other things. So,
Yeah.
but
Quite
we
often we talk about food.
we don't review the game. So if you are one of those people who's going to get a stick up your butt over they didn't like my game, there's a good chance you only heard the parts we didn't like about it and didn't listen to the things we said that we did like about it. Unless you're auto duel, in which case, yeah, we didn't like your game.
Yeah, we didn't like anything about it.
Sorry.
Hated it.
Hated it.
Yeah.
Little men hated it.
Yeah, Dungeon Hack 1993. It's some advanced Dungeons and Dragons shit.
Yup, yup. Second edition
And
rules.
yes, right. So was there Thaco in second edition, or did they? That was only
There's
first edition.
no is up through second.
Was it?
Third edition got rid of Thaco.
Yeah. Fond memories
Fun
of
memories.
Thaco, which is kind of like so. The thing with Dungeon Hack, getting into it like right away,
Mm-hmm.
it's procedurally generated. That's like the deal with it. It's just you're just like dumped in a dungeon, and it's different every time, and that's like the whole game. And the question this raises is, can you do that? Is it okay to have a role playing game that's essentially devoid of story?
Well, what do you mean devoid of story?
Well, there's really no story. I mean, there's no plot points. There's
I'm
very
watching a
limited.
whole bit right now that's explaining the story.
I mean, it's not really a story, though.
It's as much story as you tended to get in some of the early, role playing games. It's there's a treasure you got to
Well,
go get, and you're gonna go get it, and you
I
know,
mean, I sup- but if you look at what was that game that you made me play that we played for like 2 years that I suddenly
Deathlord.
can't remember? Deathlord. Deathlord, there's no like plot. It's not plotty. You don't like. There's no twist, and suddenly you learn that blah blah blah. There's none of that, and the premise is very simple. But Deathlord takes you to very specific locations, makes you talk to people, ask them questions. So while there's not really a story per se, there's like events, and it's really kind of there's like a narrative in there. There's not really the only narrative in Dungeon Hack is the one that you kind of make up yourself.
Well, I mean, there's this starting intro thing where you're sent into a dungeon to retrieve a treasure at the end, and if you want to get back, you have to go find that treasure.
Yeah,
The
but
the
nothing like
original wizardry was there's a dungeon, and at the bottom of it's a treasure, and you have to go get that treasure. Ultima, or like Akalabath, didn't even have a treasure. Like it was just kill this monster now, kill
but
this
those
monster now,
games
kill
came
this
out in
monster.
1946, dude. Like this came out in
Rogue, one of the best
1993.
games of all time, is it's a dungeon with stuff, and get the amulet of Yendor and bring it back out. And that's
But
it.
the other difference is that those didn't purport to be Dungeons and Dragons, which has a lot of stuff around it. Dungeons and Dragons is a whole thing. And I'm not saying by the way that it's not okay. I'm just I'm merely asking questions.
Well, that's yeah. Here's the
I'm
thing.
not stirring any pots intentionally.
Dungeons and Dragons is a rule system.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bunch of people who are about to be like, but it's more than that. It's not. It's a rule system.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And you build stories in that rule system, and some are going to be narrative based, and some of them are going to be let's go fight things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pause this because I will want to talk about this in a second. But so, I mean, I guess I don't ask. I don't understand the question to a certain extent. Can you do that?
Well, clearly you can because Dungeon Hack did.
Well, correct. That was going to be my. That's going to sort of be my first rebuttal. Is, eh?
But the question really is it okay? And if you think it's not okay, why what's the difference between like Dungeon Hack, which is a simple procedurally generated game, and something like No Man's Sky, which is really complicated?
Right.
It's just like more stuff.
It's more stuff.
So like,
And this is sort of it. Absolutely is okay. It's it may not be your thing,
mhm.
but me sitting and talking to a bunch of people in town isn't my thing.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I remember the worst D&D game I ever played. There was one combat, and I was like stuck in a web for the duration, and the rest was just walking around talking to people.
Yeah.
And like, if you let me choose that, or you let me choose Dungeon Hack,
Right.
which like borderline makes no sense sometimes, I would take Dungeon Hack because
Right.
like that's what was fun about Dungeons and Dragons is just like sitting around eating chips and rolling dice, you know?
It is at the end. It is a role playing game, so there should be some role play and there should be some game.
Mm-hmm.
This leans into the game aspect.
Yeah. The other thing that I thought of when I played this was I remember I think I was hanging out with you and we were looking at like an old D&D book, and it was like talking about rolling the dice to determine like what the floor was like and what it smelled like and stuff. So like really a lot of the really old D&D stuff isn't too far off from this, like kind of loosey goosey.
Like if you were one of those who played Beckme, the red box type game, um, they didn't even have rules for outdoors. They just presumed you were in a dungeon, and then you got stuff in town, and then you went back to the dungeon. For a lot of us, that was our introduction to Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the early modules
Mm-hmm.
were what they now call like funhouse adventures. So your training was here's a weird collection of rooms that has stuff in them.
Mm-hmm.
And this at least there's a treasure at the bottom.
Right.
Me and my friends went into the dungeon because it was a dungeon.
Right. 'Cause what the hell else are you gonna do?
Yeah, I'm here to play Dungeons and Dragons. I'm going into the dungeon until I find the dragon. I don't understand why the math's so hard.
Right.
That doesn't mean I don't like where the hobby's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But I do sometimes miss this part of it. I think this part's been almost completely abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, that makes me sad because I do sometimes. I just want to go kick ass and swing swords. And
Right. I don't want the adventure to be the friends we made along the way. I want the adventure to be bashing
Right.
someone in the skull with a hammer.
Right. My note that I was going to say at the end, but I'll say now, it is what it is. Hack and slash through lots of halls, find keys to open doors, end of line. Sometimes that's all you want. I don't need 1,000 hours of narration or story. I just want a dungeon, a sword, and a shit ton of monsters between me and some magic MacGuffin.
Yep.
That's it.
100%.
That's
Yep. And that's what you get with Dungeon Hack.
100%. Yeah. Like,
Yep.
if you want something else, not this. If you're like, I want to play some, literally any of the old school AD&D second edition stuff in a dungeon with all the stuff I remember full of nostalgia, and I don't want to put a lot of effort into it, and if I don't finish or I don't come back or I don't whatever, no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to tweak my experience, I'll show that here in a second, to be exactly the kind of dungeon I want to adventure in. Done.
Yep.
Yup.
Yeah. Pretty much a disposable game because you can like abandon it and not really feel anything at all because it's just like how deep can you get
Yep.
before you get killed?
And come back to it anytime and have a
Yep.
good time. And you're going to have exactly as much fun as you remember. No more, no less.
Yep. Yeah, let's talk about this character creation
Yeah.
we've been paused on for the last 9 minutes while we wax philosophical about
What is a role playing game?
D&D. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get the comments are gonna be fun for that one. Thank you, by the way.
You're welcome. I mean, I don't think we really expressed a definitive opinion.
Have you
That's-
been on the internet? That doesn't matter. We
That's
said there's
like-
an opinion. It's enough to start somebody off.
That's my whole internet presence is based on trying to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, but you opened it for this, so thank you, I guess.
Yep. Anytime.
Anytime. Anyway.
So this is the character creation, dice rolling, and then assign some points.
Well, yeah, like you can jack your stats up.
Yeah.
Might as well. You're going in alone. I mean,
Right.
you're not. This is not a party game. It is you, single character, and that creates some interesting problems. Because you can't necessarily identify all the magic items
Right.
unless you're playing a wizard with identify, in which case you can. But then you probably can't use all the items.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And also you'll probably get killed like right away.
Yeah.
What did you play? What did you main?
Oh, which time? Like, I was all over the place. I think I played most of the things at least once.
Yeah, the game I played the longest, I was a ranger because I had the most luck with the ranger.
Okay. I tended to do. I like to do the like elf fighter wizard kind of thing. It
Yeah.
slows down your progression, but I knew it would let me identify things, so
Right.
I didn't
Right.
care as much about the spells necessarily, but I wanted the ability to identify.
Yep.
So yeah, then that's done. You click that.
Yep. You're a paladin, baby.
And
I
we're
also
paladin this time.
played a paladin.
Choose a face. The faces are things to choose, I guess.
Yeah.
Name your character. Duncan McMustache,
McMustache. Of course.
as one does.
Yes.
Um,
And now you're like, yeah, so this is,
I choose custom in here because, yeah, this is possibly my favorite part of how this game works.
yeah, and I would recommend doing this really because when you leave it totally up to the game, your experience can be not so good sometimes.
Right. Like, I find all food in games annoying. So I turn the consumption down, I turn the finding it way up.
Hmm.
It's okay to kind of mess around with the difficulties and try some stuff out.
Yeah.
And it's all on sliders, too. It's like, how deep do you want to go? 10 levels to 25 levels. You know, what's the monster strength? What's the treasure amount? Do you have
Yeah.
illusionary walls? Are you going to deal with that? Or are you just not even going to worry about it? How many keys are there going to be?
Yeah, I would I would say the thing that hung me up the most was just not finding food in a couple of my dungeons, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not really fun because I don't want to die that way. But
No.
you also kind of need that mechanic because otherwise you can just sleep indefinitely and heal yourself.
Right. Right. There needed to be something for that. I don't know what the choice slash twist is, but
Yeah.
however, they really did it on like old school. So here's the thing. Let's talk about healing for a second. I'm going to hit play because. Is there anything else you
Yeah.
want to say on this?
No, I did like illusionary walls.
I
I
did
will
too.
say that. So, but
I
that's
liked
the only.
having all the stuff on. I just messed with the dungeon depth for me is the big one, and food consumption is a big one.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
I turned treasure up this time because I knew it was going to be one of my last times to play and wanted to see what else they had.
Yeah.
Or did I? Yeah, a little bit. I gave it a nut. No, I didn't. Oh, look at me.
You
I thought
didn't
I did.
think you were just demonstrating the slider functionality,
I know
which
at
is
least
way
one time
sweet.
I cranked it up because I'm like, I
Yeah, I
want to
mean,
see
why
what
not?
else. I want to see what all their stuff is because I
Right.
got a magic item we're going to have to talk about later that's
Oh.
interesting. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can set it to be like hardcore mode where Iron Man mode where if you die, your save games go with you.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We usually talk about history. We skip that because I messed with stuff.
Oh, yeah.
1993, Dreamforge Entertainment,
Yeah.
Entertainment developed it.
Thomas J. Holmes developed
Yes.
this.
And SSI,
Yep.
love SSI, published it because they had the D&D license at the time. And were cranking stuff out as fast as they could before they lost the license.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Thomas J. Holmes started with some kind of text adventure games,
Mm-hmm.
including Guardians of Infinity to Save Kennedy, where you
Oh,
travel back in time and try to stop the assassination of JFK.
nice.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He also did Veil of Darkness, Ravenloft, a couple of vampire games, two Ravenloft games. Veil of Darkness is a vampire game. Shadowrun, Mass Effect he worked on. He in
Yeah, there's some
2021
Halo
he worked
stuff.
on Halo Infinite. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so a lifelong uh, game developer who's
Yeah.
been in a lot of different things.
And games you'd know. Like,
Right.
right.
Forza,
Yeah.
Motorsport, like these are games that the young people play.
Well, I don't know about
I
that.
don't approve of them, but the young people
Yeah.
play them.
Oh, you young children.
If it ain't Car and Driver, do you remember Car and Driver in
I remember
DOS?
Car and Driver
That
and
game was
DOS.
great. You don't need Forza,
Now,
idiots.
there's where we're gonna get comments.
I know.
Not the D&D discussion you opened up. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll make you pay for that later. Um,
Yeah.
so should we talk about the screen a little bit?
Yeah.
Because it's busy.
It's quite busy. And I thought the interface was a little this or thatness with this game
Mm-hmm.
because it's not totally consistent how you operate things. Sometimes you drop them on your picture, sometimes you put them in your hand and click on it. It's just like you got to kind of learn what you're doing.
Yeah, so items, yeah, like you're saying, items operate differently. Some magic items like staffs and stuff, you put them in your hand and you'll use them that way. Food, you've got to actually drag onto your character's face. Other
Right.
things, you can right click on them or drag them onto something in the world and it'll work that way.
Yep.
You can use the keyboard to move, but not attack.
Right.
That is one of my only gripes.
Yeah, I found that a little annoying too. And like I never got the hang of moving with the keyboard, so I just abandoned all hope and went with the mouse for the whole thing.
Well, yeah, do you still have your hipster keyboard that doesn't have a keypad?
No, I
Oh,
got over that. Now
oh,
I have a keypad.
nice. Okay,
Yeah.
well then I don't know what to tell you because
Well, because you can turn and slide and
yeah,
dip.
dip, dodge, duck, dip, dodge, and duck, or whatever it was.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So if you're gonna let me use the keyboard to move and then expect in the heat of combat I'm gonna pick my hand up and move it over somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of annoying. So I ended up playing like with my left hand to move and my right hand on the mouse ready to go.
Interesting. Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
don't know.
I just did the
Right.
mouse. I
It
don't
does have a
slide that much.
compass to tell you where you're going. It's got an auto map which you can print out your maps, which I don't know anybody who ever did, but I like that you can.
Yeah. Yeah. The auto map's pretty generous. And
Mm-hmm.
like when you talk about hidden doors, it's kind of like
You'll
obvious where
figure it
they
out.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's not a big secret, but
Every
mechanically,
dungeon has everything. Like you can go everywhere.
yeah.
Like it's gonna
Right.
fill the page. I think I'm gonna open it up now. Yeah,
Yeah.
right now it's empty, but yeah, it's got a key so you know what everything is. It's
Yeah. It's quite generous auto map. Quite a generous auto
yeah,
map, I would say.
yeah,
And like I
and
used it.
yeah, you would because the point of this game is exploration even more than the combat. There's combat, but the combat's not exactly what you would call riveting. It is
Hmm.
about exploring without dying.
Yeah. Ooh, what a badass Duncan.
Yeah, but
Yep.
now, oh, this is what I was going to say earlier. Resting follows like old D&D rules where you're resting 10 hours. First, you got to rest at least a little bit before it kicks in, and uh, then hit points come back at one every like 10 or 20 hours or something like that. So,
Hmm.
you,
And the whole time your food is like whittling
right.
down.
And you can't rest if you're too close to a monster either. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Oh,
But I mean, I like just sort of this calm genericness of it. Like there's stuff to like click on the wall and click on this, and as you get better as a player, it gets easier to find things. And
yeah. There's some like moments of discovery
mm-hmm.
kind of feelings, and like they did a good job uh making the world interesting. There's like this stuff.
Yeah,
There's like ornamentation. There's things on the wall. It's just like kind of it does quite a bit considering how old it is and that it's procedural generation.
yeah, and it's a light game. And the walls do change depending on what kind of dungeon you're in. You're not going to get the same one every time. You're just going
Yep.
to be resting 10, 70, 80, 90, 100 hours to heal up.
Yep. That's a lot of hours.
It's a lot of hours.
Yeah. And the combat, you I mean, there's stuff to do. Like you're swinging, you only have one swing, but you
Mm-hmm.
can throw items, and that's cool.
And you can choose like, do I have a shield? Do I have a second sword? Am I using a two-handed sword? Am I using a ranged weapon? Like you can move stuff around and make stuff happen and try and do little dances. Like I run up and attack and then back up and then step
Right.
sideways. So they got to step sideways into a thing and have to turn before they can attack. And
Hmm.
I
That's
mean,
smart.
yeah, it's more than nothing, but you're not going to be like, I'm a tactical master because I play Dungeon Hack. No.
Right. Right. Yeah, the Ranger's fun because you spend a lot of time kind of fleeing and shooting, and then you have to like manage. You only get like 8 arrows, so you have to manage your arrows, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
go pick them up, and you can get in a jam because
Yeah.
you've shot your arrows, and then another guy appears, and it's like there's these fun moments that just kind of happen or organically,
Yeah.
and there's like a variety of play styles too.
Right. You will find like the wizards play very differently from paladins, from fighters, from rangers, from rogues. Like
Hmm.
it is from back in the time when the classes were not meant to be balanced. So
Right.
enjoy that.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Yeah, I didn't even try to play like a cleric in this thing.
oh, no. No way. Or maybe yes. Maybe that's the perfect one because you can heal yourself without having to burn
That's
food.
that's true, but I don't know. Like, I think you would just get killed. I got killed quite a bit in this game.
You will, especially as you're learning it, you'll get killed. I have
Yeah.
finished it, but not often. I often die pretty quick in. I feel like there's a tipping point when you get enough equipment, you're gonna be fine. But
Hmm.
until you have some slightly better armor or a magic
Right.
weapon or something, then maybe not. So,
Well, and that's kind of like one of the things about the randomness of it
mhm.
is you might not get that stuff.
Right.
And sometimes it feels like I like have my bag of tricks that my character does, like the ranger runs and shoots, and
Mm.
like you're kind of doing some of that business with the paladin, and it feels like you're you're not doing anything wrong, but the game's just like punishing you anyway, just because you like didn't roll
Yeah.
up a dungeon where there's any armor. Like
And
you just
that's
didn't.
any if you're into roguelike games, here you go. Like I want a
Hmm.
roguelike game, but I want it to be 3D and using Dungeons and Dragons rules. Here you go.
Hmm. Right, right, and that's the thing with all those games,
Hmm.
and uh, you know, hopefully, if you find out there's a big swath of time where there's no food, that hopefully that happens to you pretty early.
Right. And you
Be,
don't need it or something else,
yeah,
but
because it
speaking of
sucks to
no
get
food and
far.
items, like there are in classic Dungeons and Dragons style cursed items.
Hmm. Yes.
Some items that don't necessarily have positive effects. One of them is the Chime of Hunger. It's a
Hmm.
chime, and if you use it, it takes your food bar up top there all the way down to zero.
Yep. It's it's mean. It's real mean.
Yeah. And it's such an old school Gygaxian thing that no game today would think of doing. And I was mad, but I appreciate it.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that sums up a lot of my feelings about this game.
Yeah. Um and there's not much to say. The graphics here, you can see the graphics. They're good. You're seeing a lot of the same monsters. There's like one or two monsters styles per level, but they keep
Hmm.
changing each level as you go down. Some overlap. Like you'll see some people from level 2 near the stairs on level 1, and vice versa, and
Hmm.
on up through the levels. So you'll kind of get a hint of what's coming next.
Yeah.
Um, they follow D&D rules and stats, so some creatures can only be hit with magic items. Some things will paralyze you. I found
Yes.
ghouls on level
Oh,
2 once and just basically got paralyzed to death because
yes. Those
couldn't do anything
ghouls are
about it. Yeah.
so fucking annoying. And
So,
you can like run away, but sometimes you get paralyzed and just run yourself into a corner. It's like,
yeah.
okay, now I guess I just wait while this fucking thing kills me.
Hmm. But that's a lot of old school D&D players. Like I watch people on YouTube like Professor Dungeon Master and stuff, and they talk about how modern D&D just doesn't have that lethality. And this is the sort of thing they're talking about. Like it didn't care.
Hmm.
This is a game world you're playing in. I mean, and this is why I was kind of getting weird about you saying there's no story here. There is and isn't. Um, there's not a questy narrative. I'm going to talk to them and they're going to tell me about their feelings and their day, and then I'm going to go talk to them
Hmm.
and they're going to tell me about it. And then I got to think about, well, they said they felt this way and they said they felt this way. And how does that work towards undermining the bandit Lord something something. It's like, no, it's not that. It's,
Hmm.
this level has hobgoblins on it. You got to worry about getting caught in them by this, and there is only so much food, and I starved my way through the dungeon and had to not rest because
Right.
I wasn't going to get it, so I had to play really hard. But then the next level had a ton of food, so I just gorged myself and pounded everything and hung
Right.
out there for a while. And
Right.
then I found a chime of hunger, and I almost starved to death because, like an idiot, I rang it without checking out what it was first. And
Right. It's like a story develops,
right,
but there's no intention behind it,
mm-hmm.
and that's fine. Like you don't necessarily need that.
Right.
Um,
Well, and
but I
sometimes
think
I don't want it. I want to see what story happens. I don't want to go and play. I don't want to go and unravel someone else's story.
right. I always thought of Dungeon Hack as kind of a novelty and not much of a legitimate like game. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was just like a random dungeon generator that you could bang around in without much to it. But playing it, I was quite surprised. Like the secret doors, it's a cool experience to like
Mm-hmm.
shoot an arrow down a hallway and then not be able to find it and realize that it's because you shot it through an illusionary wall. Like
Yes.
that's that's what's fun
Yeah.
about it. And like the combat's boring. I wish the combat were a little more exciting, but even then, like I like the way it's laid out,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, it's fun.
Well, and this is one of my gripes, sort of, with old school D&D is combat is roll d20,
Hmm.
and until you start adding like tricks or things you're doing with your sword or something else like that that doesn't exist in a video game, like you could describe it at the table, but you're not going to get it in computer format.
Hmm.
It's ultimately comes down to positioning and managing your resources,
Yeah.
which can be fun or not.
Right. Right. And it feels cool to like clear a level and then go down and like it's totally different. Like maybe level one is this kind of swampy
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and maybe level two is like marble halls for some reason, and like
Right.
I don't know why it would be, but
Well,
you
it
know,
is. What you gonna do?
use your goddamn imagination.
Yeah, it is a lot more on you for it, and it's like I said, it's just meant to just let's see what unfolds before me, and if that's a trip you want to go on, dude, we got you set. If it's not, I don't know, not this then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say this is worth booting up and spending some time on. Like it's probably not gonna suck you in really, but the ease of abandonment is actually kind of like part of the charm.
The ease of abandonment and the ease of entry, and
Yep.
you can be like, I'm gonna spend a little bit of time trying to get through this dungeon. Like I said, I've beaten it. It's fun. It's rewarding to actually finish it. You're like, yes, I did something, because most of the time you didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. And it's fine to crank that difficulty all the way down and just have a little power trip and run
Yeah.
around and see all the different tile
Yeah.
sets and find the different ways the secret doors work, and
Yeah.
you know, that's a good
Crank the magic
time.
items up all the way and find more chimes of hunger and go, son of a bitch.
Yeah, you bastard.
Uh, did you check out the instructions at all?
I don't even remember.
Okay.
I think
Uh,
I did.
you probably did. I mean, it's SSI and Dungeons and Dragons, so the manual was top notch.
Of course.
You
Yeah,
know,
I love
it's,
SSI manuals. That's why I'm pretty sure I looked at it, cuz like, you don't
no,
pass up an SSI manual
you
with the red
really
text
don't. They're
and
so good. They're
yeah.
just so good. So, I also appreciated like all the keys being weird looking keys.
Mhm.
Like there's a
Right.
flower key for the flower lock, and you're never confused. Like, I wonder which lock this goes to.
Right.
No, 'cause
Every
it's-
once in a while, you'll get one that's like, is that stone or
right,
steel?
yeah.
And then it's like a
Oh, not
miniature
this.
puzzle.
Yeah. Well, mostly it's fine. Um, what's your
But
pinnacle and
you,
pit?
I think my pinnacle was getting stuck, and
Really?
like, yeah, it's like had just started, and you don't really think of this as a game you would get stuck in, but it was just like I hadn't really found any illusionary walls.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get past something. I went all the way back through, and then I was like, oh, of course, because you can see where they are.
Yeah.
And then I like found it, and I found that to be quite satisfying, because like, yeah, you got me. Like, you procedurally generated this situation that stumped me,
Mm-hmm.
for a little bit and made me run around and
I'm trying to find this. All right, pause. Yeah, like if you're looking at this, you can see in the lower left of the map, there's a
Mhm.
weird gap there.
Yep.
Like, so there's an illusionary thing I didn't do.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Totally. And you learn that
yeah.
pretty quick. And I kind of wish that weren't the case. I wish there were just empty parts of the map
Mm-hmm.
so you didn't just know.
No, no, yeah.
But
Whatever.
I think my pit was probably just starving to death
That was mine
so
too.
often.
It,
I
I
hate
mean, is
that.
inevitable, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's gonna be our pit because it's a food mechanic and an like action adventure game. I wish there was something else they could do to kind of put that sense of time limit on you.
Hmm.
But what I do like about it is it's a sense of time limit of your own choosing. Like wandering around empty halls, you're not burning time. Right.
Right.
You're allowed to figure stuff out and explore it. Try to put together what you want to do and come up with strategies and not be like, I'm on the clock, I gotta go, and not have fun.
Hmm.
But if you're not fighting well and you're just barging into stuff and not thinking about how to handle it, you're gonna end up needing to heal more and burning through your food.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you just like, if that happens,
You're done. Yeah.
you're just done.
Yeah.
And that's not my favorite. I wish there were a way to get that down to the wire. Am I going to survive? And then like to have some like knowledge that that if you keep pushing and take some risks that you'll find food, and not knowing that, since there's no intention behind the design.
Mm-hmm. I think they probably could have done that if they had it where to heal, you've got to go back to the stairs up. Not maybe leave the dungeon, but
Mhm.
go go back to the stairs to a previous floor and then come back and you'll have healed outside.
Mhm.
Because then you'll be pushed deep into a dungeon, you'll get really hurt and go, oh man, am I going to make it out?
Right.
And then I got to make it back here? I'll have to really think about this.
Right. Right.
Or I think there might be the stairs down right around the corner. Do I just push for them and use them as my next healing spot?
Will there be the weird vending machine that heals you?
Right?
I like the weird vending machine that heals you. I was like, okay,
All
like
right.
I'll stick a quarter in it. Like, you
Yeah.
gave me a quarter.
We'll do with this.
Big fan of that thing. It's like saved my life. So you don't have to rest and you don't have to eat.
Right.
Fucking food.
So.
Yep.
All right. That's it. I mean, it's not a deep
What was your
game.
peak and pit?
My peak and pit was the pit was obviously running out of food, same as you, because it just sucks. It especially if they've like hidden the food deeper in the dungeon, then it's no fault of your own. Like you're going to take some damage because you're fighting. Especially if you're playing something like a wizard or something like that. Like it's
Right.
gonna happen. But my pinnacle is I beat the game once. I managed to actually. It's this 10-level dungeon, but I beat the game.
That's great. I
So,
did not.
No, I know it took a lot. I save scummed. Like I'm not. I'm not proud of my victory, but I
Right.
had one. And that was cool. Like I got through it. And,
That's great. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
So, and that said, I think I played it like 20 times this month.
Hmm.
And I beat the game once. You know, it's one
Right.
of those.
Right. It is very much. But it's fun because there's such a variety of characters and like you can come back to it.
Mhm.
Uh it's better than I thought it would be.
Right. Yeah. I went into it with sort of, I knew it would be low energy,
Hmm.
and I'd argue that it is. Like, this is not a, you're not going to feel drained after having played this. Some games, especially RPGs, you're like, man,
Hmm.
I need to take a break from my break. Like,
Right. Right.
this
Yeah.
just lets you do that. So,
Yeah, I mean, there's some great. I got a little startled sometimes by the like the dudes holding up the pillars
yeah.
and they're just like blocking the hallway, but
Hmm.
they seem like they're gonna attack you
Yeah, they
when you
look like a
turn
monster for
around.
a second. Like, no, you're just letting me see past you, but
Yeah,
not go there.
I liked that.
Well, and that's where the game had little moments like that. Little things like, oh, I can see what's going on in there, but I can't get to it. And it's teasing you with more. And for a randomly generated dungeon, good job.
Hmm.
Good job. You know,
Yep.
whoever designed the randomizer for this didn't get paid enough.
Right. It's quite good.
Yeah. Um, the rooms appear about as often as I want there to be rooms. There's
Hmm.
constantly like, how do I get over there? What do I do? And knowing I need to and want to figure out how to get over there.
Hmm.
So, no, I think the randomization of the dungeons is really well done.
I agree.
I think the randomization of the items could use some work.
I agree. I agree on all fronts.
But the dungeons themselves are pretty good.
Yeah.
I think if it was made today, there would probably be some more interesting random effects in the dungeons. Like there would
No
be
doubt.
maybe multi-floor dungeons. Like what is what is the game I'm thinking of? Legend
The one.
of Grimrock.
Oh, okay.
And then
Yeah.
Grimrock 2, there was actually multiple heights outside, so
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. Yeah, I could see just more different types of traps, more different types of doors, more
Hmm.
weird things happening within the dungeon. This is definitely a proto part of that. It came out
Yeah.
after the Eyes of the Beholder, which were more like you were talking about. Like there's a quest and there's things you do and puzzles you gotta
Hmm.
solve. This is just like, nah, man, it's a dungeon. There's monsters. What do you want out of me?
Yeah, just go kill some shit
Go kill some
and have a
shit.
good time.
Have some fun. Fun's in here. Go for it.
Yep.
I would say, okay, here's a way to describe it. Here's how to think about it. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. If you go and watch a spooky movie, like, you're going to have a good time. There's a story, there's a flow, there's an everything to it.
Hmm.
And it's going to tell you a story, and when you're done, you're going to be done with it.
Hmm.
Have you ever gone to a haunted house with a story?
No, I have not.
But it's still a good time, right? You just
Right.
go around and stuff just jumps out at you, and you're like, I had a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the haunted house equivalent of role playing stuff. It's just stuff's gonna jump out at you. You're gonna have fun.
Yes,
What do
that's
you want?
actually a really good analogy.
So, all right. Well, then we're gonna leave it with me having a good analogy.
I know
Before I
before we
ruin
fuck it
it.
up.
Long game, by request, escape velocity.
Love that title screen. Love
Love that
that
title.
font.
That's such a oh my god. That's such a shareware
I know
wonder
it's
miss.
so good.
Uh, since this was a request by someone who poured their heart out to us, I'm gonna just leave them hanging a little bit more on how we're feeling about
Yep, absolutely. You will find out maybe.
it. Maybe someday you'll know too. Um, And then you're going to be followed by like, kind of feel bad that they're going to get followed up by this, but
Yeah.
System Shock 2.
Yeah. You know it's going to be good
Mm-hmm.
because it's
I
going to
am,
be
yeah,
very System Shocky.
yeah. I'll be interested to see how System Shocky you feel it is,
Yeah.
because
I think
I've played this.
I'm trying to remember. I haven't, but I'm trying to remember how I think the first one kind of made me a little nuts.
There were things you loved and hated about it. We'll have to
Yeah.
go back and watch that discussion again because
Yeah.
I want to get your take on it again before we do this. But I think I liked the first one more than the second. I have a
Interesting.
feeling you will feel the opposite.
Okay. Well, stay tuned. That's a
Stay tuned. I
cliffhanger.
know. Bum, bum, bum. Anything else?
No,
Yeah.
not a thing.
It's Dungeon Hack. We said it's random like 1,000 times. Like it's
Yeah, that's the thing about it.
probably could have cut this about 20 minutes short. It's a random dungeon. Have a good time. Good night, everybody.
Yep. Thanks for support us on
Shares on
Patreon.
Patreon, all that bullshit. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. System Shock 2, Escape Velocity, and heading into the Christmas season. So
Yeah.
I'd say
We
we'll see
will.
what our schedules unfold, but lately that's just been true anyway.
Yeah. It's just been kind of happening to us, so we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. Talk to everybody
Thanks,
later.
everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Big thank you to all of you watching, sharing, liking, subscribing, suggesting games, commenting on our videos, or supporting us on Patreon. We appreciate all of your support and look forward to sharing many more videos with you. Thank you again.